When my mother looked me in the eyes and said, "Eliana, you owe this family $150,000 to save what your sister destroyed," I laughed so hard I almost cried. Owe them? After they disowned me, humiliated me, and gave everything to my so-called golden child sister? No, this time they were going to pay. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what you would have done if you were in my place. My name is Eliana Grace. I'm 29 years old, and I live in Napa Valley, California. I'm a corporate financial consultant, the kind of woman people hire when their businesses are on fire and no one else can figure out how to stop the bleeding. Numbers have always been my world. I see patterns, risks, and lies hidden in ledgers the same way some people read faces. But if you ask my parents, I'm nothing more than a disappointment. See, I wasn't the daughter they wanted. I wasn't glamorous, easygoing, or willing to flatter them the way my younger sister Sabrina did. I was the girl who studied late at night, who turned down parties, who kept my circle small. To them I was cold. To Sabrina I was a threat. And to this day, they've never forgiven me for being the one who saw through her. My family owned a small but historic vineyard, one that had been passed down for generations. My grandfather used to say, "The vineyard is in our blood, it's our legacy." But by the time I was a teenager, it was obvious that my parents cared more about appearances than hard work. They dressed Sabrina in silk dresses and paraded her at charity events, while I was the one balancing the books for the family business before I even graduated high school. When I told my parents, "We're bleeding money on unnecessary events," they brushed me off. Sabrina was their golden child, their future. "Don't be jealous, Eliana," my mother would say. "Not everyone is meant to shine in the spotlight." That line burned into me. Not meant to shine. I left home at 18, with nothing but a single suitcase and my acceptance letter to Stanford. My parents didn't offer me a cent for tuition. "You'll manage," my father said coldly. "You always do." Meanwhile, Sabrina? They handed her a brand new BMW at 17 and promised her the vineyard when she came of age. I cut all ties. I worked 2 jobs through college, graduated with honors, and built my career without them. For 10 years, I never looked back. Until 6 months ago. It was a Sunday morning when my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. "Eliana!" The voice cracked. My mother. I froze. 10 years without a single word. "Eliana, sweetheart, we need you." I nearly laughed. "You need me?" After a decade of silence. She hesitated, then whispered, "The vineyard, it's falling apart. Your sister, she made some mistakes." Mistakes? That was putting it mildly. When I agreed to meet them, I saw what she meant. The once proud vineyard was a wreck. Equipment rusting. Workers unpaid. Customers gone. And at the center of it all, Sabrina. My sister waltzed in wearing designer heels, a cocktail in hand at noon, and a smile so fake I wanted to slap it off her face. "Eliana!" she sang, hugging me like we were best friends. You look tired. All that work stress, huh?" I pulled back. "What have you done here?" She rolled her eyes. "Relax. Investments take time to pay off." Investments? She had drained the vineyard dry on luxury parties, terrible business deals, and loans she couldn't repay. Over $600,000 in debt. And now, suddenly, I was their savior. That night, over dinner, my parents laid it out. "Eliana," my father began, avoiding my eyes, "your sister was overambitious. But this vineyard is our legacy. If it fails, the Grace name fails. We need you to help us." "How much?" I asked flatly. They exchanged a look. My mother swallowed. $150,000. Immediately. I laughed. Loud. Bitter. "You're joking," I said. But they weren't. They wanted me, the daughter they abandoned, to bail them out while Sabrina sat across the table sipping wine like royalty. I stood up, grabbed my bag, and said, "You made your choice 10 years ago. And now I'll make mine." "No." My mother gasped. My father's face turned red. "You selfish, ungrateful girl," he roared. "Family comes first." "Funny," I shot back. "You only remember I'm family when your golden child burns everything to the ground." I walked out, their voices echoing behind me. But that wasn't the end. No, that was just the beginning. Because if they thought I'd walk away quietly, they were dead wrong. After I walked away from that dinner, I thought they would leave me alone. But I underestimated my family's desperation and Sabrina's venom. Within a week, whispers started at work. A rumor that I was under investigation for fraud, another that I had been fired from a major account. It didn't take long to trace the lies back to one person, Sabrina. She had contacts in the wine industry, contacts I once helped her connect with when we were teenagers. She used those same people to poison my reputation. My boss called me in. "Eliana, we know these are lies," he said firmly. "But your name is being dragged through the mud. If this doesn't stop, we could lose clients." I clenched my fists. Sabrina had crossed a line. I decided to fight back. Not by yelling, not by begging, but by doing what I do best. Following the money. If Sabrina had tanked the vineyard, there had to be records. Loans. Mismanaged funds. Maybe even fraud. So I started digging. Public records, bank filings, even a few favors called in from old colleagues in finance. And what I found? Sabrina hadn't just failed. She had been stealing, transferring vineyard funds into her personal accounts, setting up fake vendors to funnel money, even using the family estate as collateral for private loans. It wasn't $600,000 in debt. It was closer to $1.2 million. My parents had no idea. I printed everything. A thick folder of proof. Then I showed up at the vineyard unannounced. Sabrina was hosting one of her infamous wine tasting events, music blasting, influencers taking selfies, money pouring down the drain. I walked straight through the crowd and slammed the folder onto the bar. "Read it," I snapped. She froze, her fake smile faltering. "What is this?" "Evidence. Bank records. Transfers. Fraud. How much longer were you going to bleed them dry before running off to Europe with the rest?" The color drained from her face. But before she could answer, my parents appeared. "Eliana, what are you doing?" my mother shrieked. I turned to them slowly. "I told you I wouldn't give you money. But I'll give you something else, the truth. Your golden child is a thief." My father grabbed the folder, flipping through the pages. His hands began to shake. This can't be real." "It is," I said coldly. "You wanted me back in this family? Fine. But now you're going to hear me out." That night, we sat in the family's crumbling dining room. For the first time, Sabrina looked cornered. I laid it out clearly. Sabrina would be removed from any management role immediately. My parents would sign over majority control of the vineyard to me. In return, I would use my skills to negotiate with creditors, restructure the business, and attempt to salvage the vineyard. "If you refuse," I said, my voice like ice, "I walk away, and the bank will take everything within 6 months." Silence. Finally, my father spoke, his voice hollow. "Do it." Sabrina exploded. "You can't. This is MY Vineyard." I leaned forward. "No, Sabrina. It was. And you destroyed it." Taking over wasn't easy. The debts were massive. The workers hated Sabrina and distrusted anyone with our family name. The vendors were ready to cut ties. But I didn't build my career by backing down. 4 months, I lived at that vineyard. I sold off Sabrina's luxury cars and jewelry to cover urgent payroll. I renegotiated contracts. I cut expenses by 40%. I even brought in outside investors, people who trusted me, not my family name. Slowly, painfully, the vineyard began to breathe again. And with every small victory, Sabrina's rage grew. One evening, as I was locking up, I noticed something strange. A delivery truck unloading crates labeled Special Reserve. But I hadn't ordered them. When I opened the crates, my stomach dropped. Bottles filled with cheap, low-quality wine, labeled as our premium brand. A scam. I confronted the driver. He stammered, then admitted. Sabrina had paid him to swap the inventory, planning to sell the fake wine under our name. If that wine had reached the market, it would have destroyed everything I was rebuilding. That was the final straw. I took everything, every receipt, every forged signature, every lie, and brought it to the board of local vineyard owners. It wasn't just about saving my family business anymore. It was about making sure Sabrina could never do this to anyone again. The hearing was brutal. Sabrina cried, screamed, begged. She accused me of jealousy, of planting evidence. But the paper trail didn't lie. When the verdict came down, Sabrina was banned from managing any registered vineyard in the state. Her reputation shattered. My parents sat in silence, pale and broken. For once, they couldn't protect her. Weeks later, my mother came to me quietly. "Eliana," she whispered, tears in her eyes. We were wrong about you. About everything. Can you ever forgive us?" I looked at her for a long time. This was the woman who had turned her back on me at 18. Who had called me cold, selfish, unworthy. And now she wanted forgiveness. I shook my head slowly. "No. I'll keep the vineyard alive, because it's bigger than you. It's history. It's the workers. It's the land. But as for family, that died a long time ago." I walked away, leaving her sobbing in the hallway. Today, the vineyard thrives again. Not because of Sabrina. Not because of my parents. But because of me. Do I feel satisfied? Yes. Do I feel whole? Not entirely. Revenge never fills the whole family leaves behind. But every time I see my name on the official records as owner and CEO, I remember the girl they once said would never shine. And I smile. Because I did more than shine. I burned. And they were the ones left in the ashes. If you like my story, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with as many people as possible. Thanks for watching.